For over 80 years, a dark secret has been waiting beneath the frozen fields around Stalingrad. It's a secret measured in bone and rust, a loss of life so vast, it's hard to even imagine. But now, the ground is finally giving up its dead. What's being discovered in the soil of modern-day Volgograd is more than just the debris of war. It's the final, haunting chapter of World War II's most brutal battle. And the stories of the men who were consumed by it. From August 1942 to February 1943, the German Sixth Army and the Soviet Red Army fought for this city on the Volga River. The battle raged for 200 days and nights, a storm of house-to-house fighting and relentless bombing that became one of the deadliest battles in human history. When the guns finally fell silent, the city wasn't a city anymore. It was a graveyard. An estimated 2 million soldiers and civilians had perished. In the aftermath, with spring approaching, the victorious but exhausted Red Army faced a terrifying new enemy, disease. Countless bodies littered the ruins. There was no time for proper burials. The dead were hastily collected and shoved into shell craters, anti-tank ditches, and massive, unmarked pits. They were buried with their horses, with personal effects still in their pockets, their identities erased by chaos and necessity. For decades, these men were officially listed as missing in action. But the earth doesn't keep its secrets forever. As Volgograd was rebuilt, the battle's gruesome legacy began to resurface. Construction projects, farming, and shifting soil regularly reveal forgotten graves. On average, 3 to 4 mass graves are discovered in the region every single year. In 2018, workers laying a water pipeline stumbled upon a vast burial pit. The grave was over 400 feet long and held the remains of 1,837 German soldiers. The task of recovery falls to dedicated volunteer groups like the German War Graves Commission, the Volksbund. These teams, often made up of young Russians, spend their own time combing the former battlefields. They aren't treasure hunters. They are guardians of memory. Every helmet, every boot, every fragment of uniform is treated with reverence. Each item is a clue, a piece of a puzzle scattered for 80 years. It's a race against time to give these soldiers a name before their stories are lost completely. At any dig site, the most critical discovery is the identification tag. For German soldiers, it was a metal disc designed to be snapped in half, one piece staying with the body, the other sent back to record the death. For Soviet soldiers, the process is far harder. Their medallion was a small bakelite tube holding a paper note with their details, but after 8 decades in damp earth, most have disintegrated. The identification rate for Soviet soldiers is tragically low. Of the thousands recovered each year, only a small fraction can ever be named. These teams are fighting a new kind of battle, against anonymity. Every identified soldier is a victory against oblivion. And for families, finally learning the fate of a grandfather or great-uncle brings closure once thought impossible. Sometimes, it's not the tag that tells the story, it's what's found in a pocket. A pair of glasses. A fountain pen. A comb. These small, fragile items collapse time, turning a statistic back into a human being who lived, loved, and feared. In rare cases, even letters from home survive, final words frozen in time. Some Soviet prisoners of war even carved their names into scraps of metal, creating makeshift dog tags in a desperate act of remembrance. These small acts of defiance speak louder than any monument. They remind us that even in the face of certain death, people still fought to be remembered. Once excavation and identification are complete, the fallen are finally given dignity. Soviet and Russian soldiers are buried at the Mamayev Kurgan Memorial, beneath the colossal Motherland Calls statue, where an eternal flame burns. German soldiers are reburied at the Rossashka Cemetery, about 25 miles from Volgograd. A shared space of reflection where German and Soviet dead lie across from each other. A place once of destruction, now a site of reconciliation. The Volksbund's motto, "Reconciliation over the graves," defines this mission. To honor the fallen, regardless of nationality, and teach new generations about the cost of war. The earth around Stalingrad continues to yield its secrets. Each discovery restores identity, humanity, and peace, turning old battlefields into classrooms for remembrance. The frozen soil of Stalingrad remains a vast, silent memorial. It reminds us that every soldier found is a story reclaimed, and that remembrance itself is the most powerful act of all.